Welcome to another edition of About Stout. The academic year is in its home stretch, and May 12th graduation is in sight. I'm joined as usual by Chancellor Sorensen. Welcome, Chancellor. In the second part of the show, we are going to be joined by Amy Lane. She's our Director of Career Services, who's going to talk about what her office does, and which is a very important function on campus, and how that her office relates to the success, amazing success, that our students have in the job market. As I said earlier, we sort of are in the waning days of the academic year. How do you think things have gone?
It's gone quite well. You know, given the stress on the budget, given the fact that our faculty have had no raises for 4 years, going on 5, full classes, I think it's gone very well. I think the mood of the campus is still positive. And meet the students. They're doing marvelous things out there, winning prizes in IT contests and art contests and design contests. And I think overall it's been a very positive year.
For the last show, we were over in the Memorial Student Center,
right.
And it was new. The remodeling, the $19 million remodeling was new. Now it's sort of had a chance to settle in, and I'm hearing very positive things about the facility. I don't know about you.
I am too, and you can walk over there almost any time of day, and students they flock over there, they find their niches, they study over there, they socialize over there, they eat over there. It's really a marvelous, marvelous addition. I like it even better now after it's been open for a few months.
Yeah, and it really is, that whole area really is becoming sort of the center of campus.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And students do gravitate there, and that's where they find a comfort level to study.
And it'll be nice to see there's that outdoor amphitheater. It'll be nice to see students sitting out there when the weather gets a little nicer.
You have classes out there, you have staff meetings out there, Doug.
Right.
You can.
Right.
It's really a nice area, though.
Yeah, and we do have a grand opening planned on April 18th. To basically unveil the new student center.
Apparently, without knowing that, we opened the first student center on April 18th,
right.
too. Yeah. And that was the day of Paul Revere's
I'd like
ride.
to think that it's smart planning on our part.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it coincides with Paul Revere's ride out in Boston.
Of course.
So all the stars align here. That's great.
A good time will be had by all.
Right.
Speaking of some academic, since we are in the closing in on the end of the academic year, we do have some new academic programs that have been approved by the Board of Regents. At its last meeting, they approved a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Entertainment Design, and they also approved a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Graphic Design and Interactive Media. And this next Board of Regents meeting, they have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Industrial Design and another BFA in Interior Design. I mean, these are new majors for us, but really the whole subject area is not new for UW.
No, it isn't. We had these areas as concentrations under the general art heading. And so we simply spun out, or the faculty spun out, more comprehensive majors in those areas. They're all popular. They attract very good students. And we wanted to expand our program array to make us more attractive, and this is doing that. It's an exciting thing for us to have these new majors.
And art is very important on this campus, right? We have
Extremely.
like 900 art students. That's
We
a
do.
lot
and
of students.
If you look at industrial design, some of our better students are right there, and they do class projects for industry. They redesign products. They interior design. They all are very, very engaged in the outside world. It's really
why is it important if we had concentrations? Is it just basically to give them greater visibility? Is it sort of give them an identity of themselves, to raise them from being concentrations to being major?
Yeah, I would say at least two things. You can't recruit against concentrations. That's very hard to do. Well, you come here and take art and concentrate in. Well, that really doesn't cut it with most young people. And the other thing, when it comes to hiring, I think the employees want to see a BS or BFA in interior design or in industrial design. So I think those two things really give it visibility and make it very easy for us to, more easy for us to recruit students into it, right. and faculty and staff.
And this follows the creation of a school of art and design.
That's right.
As well, right?
Yep.
To give.
Yeah, the school gives just a different designation, a different look at who we are. It does mean that we've elevated our stature. We've matured into being, I think, a real good polytechnic, and this is part of it.
Yeah, we have 42. We're going to be up to 44 majors.
Isn't that amazing? 20 when I came here, so a lot of change.
Isn't that something?
And the provost has done a great job in working with the faculty to drive that program development.
Yeah, boy, 44 majors, and we're probably not done. We're probably not done yet. Another area I thought we'd talk about is the whole area of private fundraising and donations, because we've had some news recently of some rather significant gifts to UW Stout. We have basically a $1 million gift from a couple named the Jenner Johns who live in Indiana, and graduates of UW Stout, and another significant donation from a couple named the Blankenbergs in the Madison area. They're not releasing the amount of money, but these
third too from Des Moines. That was another $1 million gift from graduates.
Right. So that's those are big gifts. I mean, is that sort of out of the norm? Those kind of sizable contributions.
Well, they've become more in the norm the last 10 or 15 years. When I first came here, our foundation was valued at about $1.5 million. Today, it's nearly 40, not quite, but nearly $40 million. We had probably, if you add the last 3 gifts up, probably 8 or 9 gifts, $1 million or over $1 million. So it's become more of a norm for us than it was before. And it's critical because as state budgets are pinched, we need these for a margin of excellence for Stout. So these gifts are very, very important. But Doug, any gift. I signed off on a gift today for $25,000 for a scholarship gift. That's a significant gift. And so that adds to it. Those small gifts add up to very, very large amounts finally. And so any gift is very, very important to this university.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss in not noting that this is the 50th anniversary of our foundation. 1962, our foundation was established, and so it's obviously doing quite well.
We began with 2 scholarships worth $50 apiece. So when it finally became a foundation, I think I was told that we had about $1,000 in assets. So it's been it's been a phenomenal growth the last 40 years.
And this is something I'm sure we're seeing in many other universities, the reliance on private donations. Like as you said, with the state dollars going up and limits on tuition.
Oh, absolutely.
Increases.
And I want to mention one other private gift. We have a very good construction program, and we have a very, very good graduate of that program who now runs Myron Corporation, a big construction outfit. They hosted a party only a few weeks ago where Dave Voss, the owner, brought in all of his suppliers. And we had a fundraiser right there. They're trying to raise $2.5 million for an endowed chair. And Dave has given generously, and now he's asking his suppliers to give so that we can educate more engineers in construction who will stay in Wisconsin and work. So that's a kind of loyalty we have out there. That's a kind of effort that must be made to raise money.
Yeah. Another event that we had recently, you and some others honored our stellar student athletes on campus, our scholar athletes. These are students that have achieved and maintained a 3.5 grade point average, which is obviously quite high, and you honored them. Talk a little bit about the importance of student athletes on
Well,
campus.
we're Division III, and our philosophy is that they're first students and then athletes. They're scholars and then athletes. And here I think all division schools really maintain that. We honored, I think, 15 or 18 young athletes, all seniors, for having a 3.5 GPA. And they exemplify what we want in any student, but in student athletes in particular. And I would add that the athletic programs add so much because these young people that play for us, basketball, football, soccer, or whatever it is, they are retained at a higher rate than the average student at about 85%. They graduate at a higher rate than the normal non-athletic student at about 88%. They form a camaraderie as athletes.
Sure.
Powerful, and they're very good ambassadors for us. And for the most part, they're very good young men and women that you'd be proud to have in your home. So athletics plays a very important role, but the philosophy is your student first, your athlete second, and this honor we bestowed upon them reflects exactly that.
Previously, you mentioned scholarships and the importance that our private donations play into that. We're hearing more and more talk, not only here but across higher education, about the importance of scholarships as the cost of higher education does increase. And I know you have some ideas about where we should go as far as UW Stout and the whole scholarship area.
Well, we have to increase scholarships, and we've asked the foundation to step up that activity, and they're doing that. We get scholarships directly from corporations periodically, quite a bit actually, that come into programs like packaging or construction. We are looking at money that we have on campus that's not attached to any particular thing that we could see if we could use that for scholarships. But we know that if we give a scholarship of $2,000, it attracts and keeps students here. So that's almost a baseline, a $2,000 scholarship. We have many that are less than that, but when you get to that level, which you're striving to do, then you can almost be guaranteed that if you offer that scholarship, students are going to come. You give it to them in the second year, they'll be retained. And so critical.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're going to now take a short break, and we're going to be back for the second part of our show. We're now joined by Amy Lane, who's our Career Services Director. Welcome, Amy. Why don't you first talk a little bit about yourself, how you came to join UW Stout, how long you've been here, and then we'll talk a little bit about what your office does.
Okay. I came here about in 2006 from a private university, and came to Stout because I really enjoy the career focus, and with our office working with students so closely with that, it is definitely the reason why I came to Stout. And the focus of the faculty, you can tell, is very much integrated into the curriculum. So really helping students find a career path and then a professional career. So my background is both in human resources and career services a little bit. So
what interested you about the whole career service area? I mean, why did you decide to make that a career?
Many years ago, I had an opportunity to...
We won't say how many.
That's right. Yes, I had an opportunity to be a graduate assistant a long time ago, and my master's is in counseling. So they asked me if I wanted to apply, and where I went to grad school, and I said sure. And it was a natural fit. So I fell in love with the field, and I've been either in career services or in human resources the whole time.
Wow.
So.
Why don't you talk a little bit about what your office does?
Sure. Career Services at Stout has a unique focus at Stout. It really is comprehensive, and it's very centralized. So we serve all students. We serve all alumni, from freshmen through graduate students and alumni. So the comprehensive services that we provide would be individualized counseling appointments with students. We go into classrooms and do presentations in many of the intro classes, even for freshmen. And gosh, the list goes on and on. We do workshops all semesters. And one of the things that's unique about Stout is we have a lot of faculty interaction. So we partner with faculty on many different types of things. So.
Yeah, I have a question. To the outside world, do you think that the idea of career focus is less or is more accepting than it was, say, 20 years ago? When I came here in '88, I had good friends who were at liberal arts schools saying, "Oh, career focus, shouldn't do that in higher ed. You should educate for the you know, the intellect." Has that changed a bit in your career?
I think it depends on the mission of the university, obviously, because I've worked both in the private industries and then also with private schools. I think that the career focus for Stout has definitely been there all the way along. For the employment market, for the job market, it has only strengthened what Stout does and what we do here. So we, as a university, and I think as career services, we're looked at as a model. And many universities wish that they had what we have for career services and then for faculty involvement in programs. So it's very, very good.
But don't you see, I mean, obviously just looking at the whole area of higher education, what UW Stout does and the emphasis that it places on job placement, et cetera, and we'll talk about the report in a minute, but it's obviously very, very high. Don't you see that creeping more and more into the broader area of higher education? And what President Obama has been saying as well.
Yeah, I agree. Though I think even the liberal arts schools that have always shied away from this focus now talk about, or now trying to shape their majors into something that can be a career focus for their programs. I see it very clearly.
Yeah, and the president. I mean, the
That's
president
right.
has been talking very publicly, and
He should
very
come here and give his message.
He should. President Obama, if he's listening, President Obama should come here and talk about that.
Ship him the tape, would you please?
Yeah, so we're working on that.
I know.
And but again, I mean, he is saying universities have a responsibility to measure what happens to their students once they
right.
leave campus. Not everybody does that, do they?
No, no. Some universities really don't have a graduate employment report, and our office collects that. We've collected that report since the 50s in our office, so we have a long history on campus of doing that. So, and like I said, we get calls nearly every week asking, how do you collect that data? Especially now with the new emphasis, I think we're getting more and more calls from other universities.
Why don't you talk about the report that we do produce and what's in it?
The annual employment report, every year, we collect data from every graduate of the university in many different ways. So we have a staff member that calls, emails, gosh, every day.
Quite a pest.
Quite, yes. And so we find our graduates. So we also are glad for Facebook and LinkedIn because that is another way of finding them. So we call parents, we call the Alumni Center. Anyone who knows where they are will find them. So we do find about 86% every year, between 86 and we've been as high as 88% response rate, and that's fabulous for a report like that.
Really good.
Some universities have lower response rates, 35%, and that's what they find. But all year long we're at it. So it's not a one-time survey. And so it's an online survey. There's many different methods of collecting data. As you know, the last 10 years we've had a good response, or employment rate for university has been 97% average for 10 years. And throughout this economy, that's a wonderful testament to our academic programs, because excellent programs then produce excellent graduates. And so that's what's happened is our programs have withstood the test of the employment scene out there in the job market right now.
Why do you think we were able to maintain a 97% employment rate through the 2008 recession?
Well,
I mean,
my take is this: we place about 80% of our students in a co-op or internship experience before they graduate, and we really think it's higher than that. If you look at experiential learning, probably we reach 95%. And that, I think, is the key. I talked to employees. We were over at the Myron Construction Company a week and a half ago, and we had 2 or 3 interns over there, and they've been offering jobs already before graduation. And they worked summers to earn money to go through school, and now they're going to full-time jobs as project managers over there. So that connection is absolutely essential. It's critical. It's good for the student, good for the company, and I'm really proud of that stat.
Yeah, but don't you think our majors too have a part?
Oh, they have an applied focus. We have majors that fit directly into the workforce needs of the 21st century, no doubt about it. And every program that we develop is through the prism of the Polytechnic, and that's a very applied concept.
Right. I mean, when you look, our latest employment report, which just came out recently, showed a 98% employment rate. There are, I mean, well over half, probably 2/3, I didn't count them, of our majors that were at 100% in employment rate. What do you think, how does your office contribute to that, some of the services that they offer? And you may want to talk then about sort of what the Chancellor just brought up is the whole cooperative education area as well.
And wages.
And wages.
That's right. Several of the services I think that we provide to students really do help students and graduates find employment. So the cooperative education program on campus is one of the main reasons why students do get offers. So over half of the co-op students have offers either from that co-op site or other vendors that they've worked with on that site. So that in and of itself is a very strong program. And then other things that we help with, the large career conference in the fall in October is one of the largest in the Midwest, if not in the nation. 3 full days of employers on campus and 2,000 to 3,000 students attending every year. Really does kickstart the recruitment year, and then we continue to tell students and help them with networking and connecting with employers and developing relationships. So even if they're a freshman and they go to career conference, they go back as a sophomore and an employer will say, "Don't I know you? I think that we met last year at career conference." So they do a lot of follow-up and networking, and that really does help with the employment report.
How many companies come to that career conference, roughly?
Roughly, number of employers, well, a number of representatives, probably between 500 and 600. Number of companies, about 350. So it's a large
pack
number.
them in.
We do, yes we do, and it's a great 3 days. A lot of faculty supports. There are faculty that cancel classes and or they try to encourage them to attend as an assignment, and that's wonderful. It shows support of employment.
It's
so.
fun to walk around that because you meet a lot of our
Sure,
grads,
right.
Yes.
and you meet an enthusiasm that you can't find anyplace else about careers.
Right. How does a co-op work? I think there may be some misunderstanding as to what exactly that is. What exactly is a cooperative education program?
Cooperative education as a nation is over 100 years old, and it started at the University of Cincinnati, so it has a long history in the United States. It is a paid opportunity working within a student's major. So they're actually working in something that is maybe their first professional position. So whether it be in construction management or in packaging or in retail merchandising management, over half of our programs require the co-op as part of integrated into the curriculum. And then the other half, the students can still participate in co-op if they want to. The students participate, have a faculty mentor, and so they also have the support of the university and an encouragement to set learning goals. They are graded on their co-op. So it's different than what other universities have going. They could talk to their friends and other students at other universities, and they're much different. Sometimes not as structured, sometimes not paid, sometimes without any supportive faculty, and that's a big thing. They really are kept accountable. They have learning goals, and they need to meet those, and they work toward those goals while they're in their co-op. So applying what they've learned at Stout to the professional world.
I think there's some confusion between a co-op and an internship.
They might be called our students could be called an intern the whole time they're out. An employer might call them that. What's important is the model that we're really operating under. So the partnership between the student, the employer, and the university. Right. And that's what sets a co-op program apart from just any summer job or any type of part-time position.
Yeah. When we were talking before about, the chancellors talked about the employment rate and weathering the Great Recession that we came through, that still kind of begs the question, how is the job market changing for our graduates? How is it different than maybe when the chancellor started here, or maybe 10 years ago, that kind of thing?
Starting early is still very important, and that has never changed really for employment. The average job search or career search is what we would call it, would take 6 to 9 months, and that's not changed any. In fact, we encourage students to start sooner than that, but any time is good. So starting is good. You have to be active.
If you're going to be a senior this year, you should almost start when you start your academic year.
Yes, definitely. And that's why we have career conference in the fall. That's why it's in October. If we waited until February, many of those relationships and opportunities might have been already taken by other universities. So recruiters, companies, they start really building their talent pipeline in the fall. So it really does help our students to have that in October.
But has the kind of employer that is looking for a UW Stout student, has that changed at all, Amy? Given obviously we've sort of had a restructuring year of our economy. Have you noticed a change in that at all?
We've seen a lot of company changes, a lot of name changes, a lot of mergers and acquisitions. And so what's happening is, in the employment scene, students have to be very flexible. adaptable, geographically flexible, and because of the co-op program, I think that that gets our students ready and prepared for that. Our co-op program has 875 students that go it every year now, and they go between 30 and 35 states, and then internationally as well. So if our students are ready to go out and spread their wings for 3 to 4 months, they're ready to go out and try that again for their professional career. So it really does help our graduates then prepare for the job search.
You interact with a lot of employers. I mean, in your position, generally, what do they say about a UW Stout student that they hire?
The thing you hear all the time, I've heard since I've been here, is that they hit the ground running, as a cliche, that they're prepared to go to work the very first day. They don't have to go through long training programs. They're mature. They want to work. They don't expect privilege like some graduates of some schools do. And they're just there to be a good employee. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I hear all
And
the
I
time.
imagine that comes back to, I mean, we even put it in our mission statement, the applied learning,
Yeah.
where we have
The
very
work-
lab-based.
Yeah, the work ethic of these young people is just phenomenal.
Yeah. What do we do? One of the other questions, what do we do to, you know, you mentioned your office handles, obviously, students, but you also mentioned alumni. Is that unusual that we continue to provide career services for alumni once they leave campus?
It's unique at Stout in the fact that we do provide alumni services. We don't charge our alumni for any of the career services that they are offered. Many universities do that, and we feel that if we help our alumni, they eventually will help us back. So as a university, it's important that we continue to serve our alumni.
And I assume that if an alumni is happy in getting assistance from the university, maybe the fundraising aspect that we
Little
talked
easier, right?
that we talked about in the first half of
Yeah.
the show may make when you come knocking on the door
Yeah,
may
that's right.
make that a little easier.
Amy, how many informal contacts do you have for resumes or potential resumes or names outside the career conference? Do you get weekly requests from companies?
We
Say,
do.
do you have engineers or whatever?
We do. Employers can go online themselves. They have their own accounts and can go in really in their own account and do that. If they have questions about it, they contact us really on a daily basis to do that. So they're called referrals, and we have thousands of those a year. And students, we encourage students every year to post their most up-to-date resume so that an employer can actually help find them as well.
So it's not just a career conference, but rather it's that constant contact over the year with the employers.
Definitely. We've had students who work in our office that we've encouraged to post their resume, and they'll say, okay, I'll do that. And what's interesting is they've been hired away from our office right here on campus to go and find, you know, some other employment.
That's good, though.
Yes, it's a good thing. So we've really lost some wonderful students in our office that have gone out to New York and out of West, and it's been really good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say one thing that in my years here, I've been impressed with where they go, because these people, they're from urban centers like Minneapolis and St. Paul or Milwaukee, but we have a lot from small towns. They wind up in Los Angeles or San Francisco or Houston, Texas, and they thrive there. It's really, I think, a good indication of how good they actually are.
Sure. Well, our time's up, and I want to thank you for coming. Thank you, Chancellor. And thank you for joining us for another edition of About Stout. We're going to be back soon with another About Stout.